All right. Hello, my people. So sorry for that network glitch. If you can hear me clearly now, kindly let me know in the comment box. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Femi. Can you hear me right now? If you can hear and see me, please let me know. Oh, thank you. Thank God. I mean, you know, I've not had that kind of experience with network in this part of the world before. So that's part of our conversation tonight that there is no place on earth that is heaven. Okay, thank you, Tomiwa. I want to apologize for the glitch. I've been here before time, but it's just the network was not broadcasting what I was doing. But either ways, we are good to go now. Thank you for joining. Now, in a moment, you can please share the link to this meeting on your social media platform, to your friends, to anybody you believe this thing is going to bless. It's going to be a very interesting conversation. I like to speak for like 45 minutes, 1 hour thereabout, so that I can have time to take questions. Welcome one more time to Limitless and Borderless 2.0. Good. So let me give you 30 seconds, 1 minute to share the link to your various platforms. Those you have invited before that are now out of this space because of the initial challenge that we had. Kindly bring them back on board. Thank you. So in the meantime, let me be recognizing the people that I can see. How I can see that you are there is actually when you indicate in the comment box. I can see Olawumi Ajisafe. You're already married, but you're still bearing my dad's name. All right, but that's fine. So good to have you on board. Adeyinka Adewumi. All right, very good. You can hear me. Welcome on board. Paul Elubaju. Oh, you are glad to be here. I'm happy to see you too. Tomiwa Emmanuel, thank you for being around. Just keep it going, keep it coming, so that I can see you, especially right now. So exactly 1 more minute from now, I may not be able to do the protocol of grading people. But right now, permit me to still do that. Anyways, if I don't mention your name, I recognize you, I honor you. Uluwole Adesunloro, you are welcome on board. Good to see you. I think most of the people I'm seeing online are my people. I've actually know every one of you personally and directly. So, but there are other people that may be joining later that I may not know, but I recognize every one of you. All right, let's get started. Let's get started. It depends on how we go tonight. I can't promise that the recording will be made available, but if it's something I would like to make available, you will see it on the platform. So I started an interesting conversation with my in-house people sometimes back. And that was exactly what led to what we are doing right now. Because the conversation I was having with them made it very clear to me that a lot of people desire what we call greatness, but they don't know how to either achieve it or to be positioned for it. That so when you check the first part of this borderless and limitless webinar last year, I took my time to speak about the limitations imposed on people, especially those of us from the third world. I remember I told you guys that in the grand scheme of things, an African or anybody from the third world, they are being referred to as underdogs. And I gave you a very practical example of who an underdog is. I told you that if Manchester United is to be playing against the Sunshine Stars of Akure, that is the football club of Ondo State, right? The moment the two teams are pitched together, naturally everybody expects Sunshine Star not to perform. That is what it means to be an underdog. It's an appellation for anybody or a group of persons involving in a competition, but with the little or no chance to win. I come again. Anybody involved in a competition, but that has the least of the chance or chances to ever win. That is the person you refer to as underdog. And I said, in the grand scheme of things, that is who they make Africans to be. Let me tell you how you will know this is true. You know, like I said, I lived all my life in Nigeria before I moved to the United States. I have realized that as an African, nobody is surprised when you work very hard. That is expected. They believe that's normal. That is consistent with your design. But the moment you thrive or you do something excellently, you will see the surprise in the eyes of everybody. The reason is simple, they are not expecting it. They are not expecting it. If they're expecting it, they will just believe it's normal. Are you seeing that? So, because of those kind of narrative that has been in existence before now, it is now critical for us to give a new orientation to our people. If not, there is nothing most people will be able to do about these things. So that is the whole idea of what we are doing. So I remember I told you the limitation imposed on you by culture. That culture just puts you in a mode to determine how far you can go without your consent. So you just feel you are making the right decisions, but you don't know that they are running an agenda, they are running a script through you, but you are not aware. Then I spoke to you about the limitation imposed by different nations against one another, how you can't travel at will to other country when you like. But today I'm not going to be talking about all those limitations in terms of entering other countries. Today's focus is about you as an individual. Are we together now? So if you are still with me, type it there that you are with me. Let it be coming up in the comment section. I like engagement very well. I want to set a background for my conversation with something tonight. I want to share a story and I will link it up with my training. While I was in school, I read industrial chemistry while I was doing my bachelor's degree. And in the course of that study, I understood production to a level, especially production of whatever has to do with chemical industries. And there's something called quality control, such that you cannot send a product out to the market except that product has passed the test of quality. Please pay attention because this background is going to give you a strong pedestal to make other things I will be saying to have meaning. If you don't get this one, you are likely just going to be motivated. And I'm not here to motivate you. I'm here to give you practical insight that you can work with. So, like I said, in the industries, you have to ensure that the product you are sending out has passed the test of quality. That is human being. That suggested to me that if human being can be that meticulous, can be that careful and intelligent, such that they accept, you know, industry that are non-existing where they send fake products. But reasonable industries, if they can be so meticulous that they can send products out without establishing that this thing is of quality, that means God will never send anybody on earth except you have passed the test of quality. Is somebody getting what I'm saying? So you already passed the test of quality even before you were born. If you fail the test of quality, you stand no chance to be sent to this part of the world. Now pay attention. So your design is made out of quality products. So if you don't agree that you're a product of quality, It means you either believe that God is fake or you believe you're a fake product. But if you don't believe that God is fake and you don't believe you're a fake product, it means your wiring is actually forged for quality. But unfortunately, we all we don't have the same background, right? So the product that is of quality, when you send it out of the company and it gets to the market, so to speak, before it gets to the hands of the end user, there is something they call storage condition, such that a product that has not expired, a product that is actually of quality by design, if it is not properly stored, it's not going to be effective eventually. So, which means producer may do the best of work, but the conditions surrounding the storage of the product can compromise the integrity and quality. Can I say this to you? Everybody you see in life that is probably living the life that does not bring glory to God in a way, it is not the fault of their designer. It is the fault of the conditions surrounding their existence, which I can describe as their storage condition. And that is very critical because it begins at infancy rather, at a point where you are not the one making any decision, where your elderly ones decide for you, your parent tells you what to do. Those are the moments where certain things are actually fought in your life. Are we together now? So you pass the test of quality, but your environment started compromising that quality. That is the first background that I want you to actually pay attention to. Now, what are the issues now that arise from this fundamental background challenge? Because the points that I want to mention now, those are the points I will be teaching around to give you perspective to what exactly led to the limitation of that quality product that God sent on it. And the first on the list, all right, is what I describe as scarcity of good examples. Pay attention to what I'm saying. Scarcity of good examples. Somebody said I should pay attention to my sound. Is it that you can't hear me clearly? Okay. Just a moment, please. All right. What about now? Can you hear me? So those of you who can hear me, I believe it's the network of other people. Um, so let's continue. Thank you. Where did I stop? I like to just be on track. Okay, I was talking about scarcity of good examples. Scarcity of good examples. Okay, thank you. I remember the story that a man of God shared in a major program recently. That's Pastor Emmanuel Ire at Wolfbeck. He shared a story that while he was growing up as a young man, he grew up first as a little boy in church who was only seeing things that were big. Precisely, he grew up in Faith Tabernacle, Living Faith. That's Bishop Oyedepo's ministry. Now, this is not church setting, but gets it. If you get it, you will understand a lot of things. He said as he was growing up, all he was saying, there were cases where after a major program, they will still be counting offering the church till the second week. Now, he shared this one in our church program when they invited him. So I've heard that from him about maybe 2, 3 times. He said, so first thing that did to him was that he naturally believed that there is abundant supply of resources. He did not need to learn it. Some of you now, you are still trusting God, all right, to be able to even comprehend big amount of money, not having it, not ownership. You get angry if your age mate is saying, I want to do something worth 100 million naira. Something inside of you revolts that what exactly is going on here? Are you seeing that? But that became his own default setting. And he said by the time God called him to ministry, he didn't know how to do anything small. He said, I saw big church auditorium. I saw congregations in thousands of people every day. So I believe that is the ideal way of doing things. Can you now compare that with those who grew up in the village, where they are attending churches, where they set the foundation of a building that will not take more than 250 people, and in 4 years, they have not completed the structure? Are you seeing that? The same product, equal quality, but the conditions surrounding their transference now is already compromising the integrity of the quality. So the one coming from the background where people struggle for, in fact, there are churches where the building committee that set the foundation of a building, many of them will have died. Yet the building wouldn't have been completed. So they choose another set of people to complete a project. But someone else saw how 50,000 capacity was built in 52 weeks in Africa, not in the United States. So that affected his perspective. So the first thing responsible for limitation of people is lack of good models or lack of examples. You will see how this plays out in the recent. So the moment you don't have good models around you, understand that you have more works to do than your equals. That's number one. Number two is what I call myopia. It's a different thing for you to have examples around you compared to you having examples, but you can't see them. They are two different things. A boy in the village may not be able to know what it means to live the life of Lazarus. However, that does not mean there are not examples he can decide to see if he's actually willing. I hope you get the difference now. So the first one is that in the entire environment, there is even nobody to mirror a good future, ideal future, the kind of future God is preparing you for. That's one. The second one is those kind of people, when they are around, you don't even have idea of how to see them, or you are already being blocked to perceive them correctly. Let me share a story with you. I told my people about a man I respect so much. People from my community, they know who I'm talking about. When they gave birth to this man, they went to fortune tellers. So it matters who is even prophesying to your life. Is that critical? When people who are defeated in life turns out to become prophet, they defeat other people or they bring other people to a life of defeat unconsciously. Because they begin to see things with the mode of their defective mindset. And they begin to prophesy those things. They vocalize it with authority as if it's God speaking. And the moment the people believe, even if that thing did not originate from God, it's going to come to pass because there is agreement between the one speaking and the one receiving. So they prophesied, so to speak, to the family that if that child be enrolled in school, that he was going to die young. Guess what? As they enrolled the man to school, he started falling sick. True life story. He started falling sick, to the parents withdrew him from school. And when they withdrew him from school, he was doing fine. But after a short while, the parents were farmers, subsistent farmers at that, who couldn't do anything, unknown people, nameless people. So one of the days they were coming from farm, for and this happened in my hometown, right? Such that a young boy just died, a primary school boy or something, and the colleagues, they were doing what you call candle procession. They fired out, those kind of stuff, probably in blacks. I've seen that a couple of times. And at the time that the mother saw what they were doing for the deceased, I mean the primary school guy that died, she said to herself, she thought within herself that, see, this my husband who I've married, even if he dies today, nobody will give him this kind of honor they are giving this primary school child. He said, and our son, if we don't give him exposure that is better than us, evidently is going to end up like we are about to end. So she got home and called the husband that is, you know what? It's better for us to enroll our boy in school so that the guy can die young and receive the kind of honor we saw than for him to live very old but without meaning, like we are living relatively. So at the end of the day, they condemned this man to schooling so that he will just go there and die young. But guess what? The same man ended up becoming managing director of two different commercial banks in Nigeria and rose to become CBN governor of Nigeria between 1999 and 2004. I'm talking about Sir Dr. G. Sanusi. Are you saying that? I'm saying to you, it doesn't matter what your background has dictated for you. It does not even matter how much of words. Some of you have been broken by words. Maybe you were trying to sing in a choir and they say, no, you don't know how to do anything. You try to act drama, but they made you act the devil because you are not handsome, you are not beautiful. So they destroy every form of adventure capital inside of you unconsciously. So because maybe in children department, they can't cast you when you are willing to be casted. And because of that, you transfer that same ideology to other parts of your life, such that in class, when your teachers ask questions, you can't speak boldly. I can tell you, anybody from whom courage is beaten out, the future of such individuals have been greatly endangered. But who is he that decree a thing and it come to pass when the Lord has not commanded it? Who is he that decree a thing and it come to pass when the Lord has not commanded it? I'm saying to you, even if you don't have examples around you, if you don't have examples around you, you can outsource the examples. It doesn't matter. That's why I said people who are above 30 years, I know some of them are here. I respect you. I welcome you. The conversation will still bless you. But do you know why I decided to take it to 30 years and below? This is it. You see, when somebody is below 30 years, that is when they call you, all of above 30, they still call all of us youths, right? No doubt. But do you know, before you clock 30 years, you can give excuse of your background because you are evaluated with your peers. You are evaluated with people you have similar circumstance or similar circumstances with. But the moment you clock 30 years, you are evaluated in your generation. The parameter of your assessment transcend the limit of your immediate environment to the limit of your generation, the limit of the dispensation you are assisting. This is what I'm saying to you. The moment you clock 30 years, the real parameter of your assessment does not factor in anymore what has gone wrong with your background. Maybe you are coming from a village or you grew up in California. Do you know why? Everybody, before you clock 30 years, it is expected of you to have been able to resolve every negative intricacies that characterize your formative years. It is that critical. It is that critical. So bad examples or lack of Good examples. Then myopia. The third one is complacency or lack of drive. What? Complacency or lack of drive. I've not seen people who are so complacent like poor people in my life. I've never seen that. For instance, I've observed a lot of great persons and I've stayed around a few. The first thing that is uniform from different persons to another, different generation to another, and different territory in Africa, in America, in Europe, is that there is no man doing great things on earth without a rugged and well consolidated work ethics. So, this idea, now, this is what I'm saying. Those who are already making wave with their lives, they are not sleeping the way you are sleeping. You will hear the richest black man on earth, right? Aliko Dangote says to you that he doesn't sleep beyond certain number of hours in the last 40 years. Look at that. But you will see a young man who is still owing money that he borrowed to buy data on his phone. But the same guy is sleeping for 10 hours. The reason is because there is nothing keeping that person awake. Complacency. People feel what we build will be. Everybody who believe that what we build will be, all of them ended up a failure. What we build will be. Everyone who work with that narrative, excluding none, all of them ended up a failure. So check as I'm speaking right now. Check your daily routine and your work ethics. What does it look like? Complacency. You finish first degree. After that, you are feeling on top of the world. Some of you left school 5 years ago. In the last 5 years, you have not read one book. In the last 5 years, you can't trace a specific progress you have made that is traceable and measurable. The reason is because you don't have the hunger, you don't have the drive. And no matter who is praying for you, when you don't have drive for progress, you can never progress. That's the third or the fourth point. Then the fourth one, I don't know if this is the fourth or the fifth, as the case may be, is what I describe, all right, as prioritizing certificate over education. You see, we said undergrads and graduates, that is people who have gone through higher institution or going through higher institution. It's unfortunate how a lot of people, all they can boast of is that I graduated with first class or second class upper, second class lower in aquaculture. After that, they don't know even the technicality of that aquaculture. The guy does not know it. Meanwhile, true education implies that you have what is called a change of orientation to be able to organize your thoughts in such a way that can benefit you and the larger society. So the moment, even though if you have a PhD, but you can't organize your thoughts to the point that it can benefit you and your society, with your certificate, you are not educated. And I know some of you will need to check that if you are really educated. If you are, I ask you, with all the trainings you have gone through, what has your thoughts been able to accomplish in the larger society? Then the fifth point that brings people to what I describe as what we are talking about today, limitations, is the misconception around money. So that one, we are going to talk about that on a separate day. Let me first say this to you. Money is not evil, because a lot of religious folks, they view money as something that is evil. And it's because of the fact that they had bad models. They did not have good examples while they were growing up. Virtually all the people who appear to be serving the Lord around them were people who were poor. In certain environment, rich people, they feel they are above godliness, unfortunately. So that made some people to believe that money is evil. That's one. The another set, which just came up not too long ago, is the people who believe that it doesn't matter how I make my money. The moment I make the money, the end will justify the means. What I'm trying to say is that those who conclude that the real measure of their totality will be how much they have in their bank accounts, they are foolish. But remember, I said money is not evil, so that you will know that I don't hate money. In fact, if you lack money, you will struggle more than you ought to struggle. Money, I was sharing with some guys in a fellowship years back. One of them just quoted the scripture that money answereth all things. That's what the Bible says. I said, that's not what the Bible says. That's not what the Bible says. Evidently, when you say money answereth all things, it will appear like you are suggesting that money is the answer to everything on earth. And I asked the person, in a simple logical term, do you think money can answer every problem? The person said no. I said, so would the scripture be lying? He said no. Then let's put it in perspective. I said, check the pretext. The pretext was saying feast, right? When you set up a feast, you make wine available. When you want to do party, you make provisions available. He now went further to say, money answereth everything. That is, this is it. This is it. Whatsoever is calling for money, money will answer that thing. Whatever is calling for money, money will answer that thing. When you want to throw a party and you want to get food stuff for your guests, food will demand for money. If the money is available, the money will answer. That's why for some people, sicknesses is what is calling for money in their homes. And they are answering to it. By pain. Now, I'm not trying to shade people, please. Anybody who is sick, we pray every day so that you can be a blessing to your kind. And if somebody is under the sound of my voice and you are sick, even as I communicate what is not supposedly spiritual, there is release of force of the spirit to take you out of any pain. And God is doing it for you in the name of Jesus. But I'm saying a lot of people that will tell you they have never spent 200,000, they have never, earned their own personal 200,000. When they have problem in the hospital that demands 1 million, the money will come out. The reason is because at that level, hospital is calling for money, but by the virtue of positioning, the destiny of the person is not calling for money. Let it be very clear. If you need help for something great and it doesn't rise, but when you need that help in trouble, it comes. It means you have lived your life that only trouble can attract help to you. And that's not the best way to live. That's not a good way to live. So it means if you lack money, it means you are not calling for money. But today we are not here for money conversation. Lack, all right, or misconception around money is one of the reasons why people are limited. So people pursue it. They go after it. At the end of the day, they lack it. And finally, before I move to the second part of my teaching, is what I describe as orientation. I'm not going to speak about orientation. I'm just going to show you an example. You see this paper, these two papers. I don't know. Oh my goodness. Let me try to make my screen visible so that you can see it. Good. I will adjust the screen back. Don't worry. Oh shit. Okay, good. When you look at this document, what you are seeing here is the same thing that is here. Can you see it? I will explain what is there if you can't see it, but the illustration will have helped you better. The same content was what I wanted to print, but because I selected the wrong orientation of paper, part of my test were cut off. The same instrument, the same data, the same information, the same paper size, the same paper size. But when I changed the orientation of what I was to print, the same paper size, they are not bigger than one another, could accommodate it. The brain of a white man does not have more cell than the brain of a black man. But the white man is more productive than the black man simply because of orientation. When you copy the same vital content and put it inside the two of them, the orientation of one cuts that thing into sizes, the orientation of the other one accommodates it. Are you seeing that? Orientation. And if there's something I seek to accomplish tonight, first, among others, is to be able to realign your mind to how to have a change of orientation. Because you see, the idea of traveling abroad, Japa, all those things that people talk about, if you don't have the right mentality and you decide to travel abroad, do you know what is going to happen? You are going to beautify your misery. Because even if you are unintelligent, the moment you enter UK, you'll be able to get iPhone. Even if you're a dozer, when you spend few months in America, you'll be able to buy iPhone. And the environment is so fine that when you take pictures, everything looks good. And weak people who are checking you out from home, they already believe you are doing fine. Is somebody getting what I'm saying? Weak people who are observing you, they already believe that you are doing fine just because you change environment. I was speaking with some friends and they felt so pained by what I said. And I was like, you don't need to be pained. All of us were on the same page. I said, we left Africa to the Western world, right? He said, nice. I said, some of you, do you know why you were in Nigeria? You could buy a plot of land, not even in a village where you say things are bad. Some of you could buy lands in Ibadan. Some of you could buy lands even in Lagos, maybe through real estate, all of that. I said, you are still on campus, so I'm not talking to them directly. I said, but go and ask your uncles, many of them who have been here for the past 10 years, if they can successfully buy a portion, a square meter of property in America, except by mortgage. I said, and the reason is simple. People feel they will become better because they cross border. They don't know that the same life you are living in Ghana, the same life you are living in Benin Republic, it will just be made colorful. All right? It's the same life you are going to live when you travel abroad. Somebody is saying, what's this man talking about? You people, you don't have challenge with network, with electricity, all of that. Those are basic amenities. If you have functional system, those are not the things we are supposed to be using to measure advanced country compared to a country that is not advanced. All right. So the idea is not to come and talk to you so that you carry your bag and run out of Nigeria. So with all of that I've said, what are the things that I expect you to start doing to be able to get out of that cage that background has imposed on you or that your background has kept you? If you are getting value so far, put it in the comment section that you are getting value. I don't like to gather people to waste their time. So let me be sure that you are getting something. You are getting something. So what should you do? Having set this background, what are the things that you should be doing? Everything I've said, if you do the opposite of the limitation, you will overcome the limitation. Therefore, for wrong orientation, how do you overcome that? Getting the right orientation. How do you now get the right orientation? How do you now get the right orientation? You see, I don't know how they have done it. Part of the things that limits the creativity of an African is the fact that we are not thinking again in our natural essence. For this one I'm trying to say, you want to communicate in English, you have to think. You have to think. Because of that, communication already limits your originality. Because at the end of the day, you only give expression to the degree you have mastered English language. I don't know how many of you remember the video of that young man in what state was that? In Abeokuta that year. They were trying to interview him. He knew exactly what to say. And by the time the guy was going to talk, he said, they said, how do you feel with the issue of lack of availability of funds in the Nigeria that is imposed by Godwin Emefiele, the CBN governor? And the guy said, you see, some of you will remember this video. Apology for those who are not from Africa. Apologies. You may not really get some of these things, but just stay with me. The guy began to gesticulate, that uh, everything is happening, people are dying, something. The guy realized that there were a lot of obstruction. The guy just said, ẹ wo, àmọ́ òyìnbó sọ, gbogbo nǹkan ṣẹlẹ̀ nílùú yìí, àwọn èèyàn kàn ń kú ni. Do you know why? There was a restriction in the flow of the originality of his thoughts. Guess what? You think I want to advocate that we should make Yoruba our general language? You'll be fooling yourself. The world has advanced beyond that level. So how they got us to that level is part of how they made us suboptimal. But it's none of my business anymore. But I want to tell you guys, a lot of simple English you can pronounce, you don't know what it means. You don't really know what it truly means. Because of that, the more you are moving from one level to another, yes, pressure Tiwa. The more you are moving from one level to another, the more your creativity is reducing without you knowing. How do you overcome that? It's simple. These are the things you ought to have learned in primary school, but whatever it is, anytime you start, that's your money. Any moment a man wakes up, that is his own money. So if somebody wakes up at 30, that is his money. How we are going to sort the rest is not our business. Don't mourn the days of your ignorance. Just take advantage of the days of your insight. But this is what I'm saying. You are supposed to be reading not because you want to speak to people, but that you may be able to master correct communication so that in the global scheme of things, you will be able to express your thought without limitation. Ask some of your brothers in UK, intelligent people, they cannot communicate in class, not because of intonation. All of us have accent. I was speaking somewhere, somebody said, "Oh, you're an African." I said, "Of course now. Can't live in a place for 30 years and you now think overnight I will be saying, you man." No, it doesn't work like that. So let's check the kind of books you are reading. People think when you begin to read beyond what you are being taught in class, is because probably you want to be a public speaker, you want to be sophisticated. No, it is that in terms of communication, your intelligence is pegged to a basic minimum. So when you miss this, even at 35, when you read books, you don't really get the central idea because a lot of statements they are using, you don't understand the meaning. And by the time you open dictionary 15 times in chapter one, that book, you will be tired. You'll be what? You'll be tired. So orientation, therefore, is to be reading the thoughts of the people who are manifesting the kind of future that you desire. I tell people, I spent 20 years as students. I'm not saying you should go and do that. But all I've learned in the classroom, they are not the things I'm writing on Facebook. They are not the things I'm teaching on different platforms. How did I know those things I'm teaching? Are you getting everything I'm teaching you? No, they are not the things they were teaching me in school, not even at the PhD level. So the idea is if you might have seen people who have books in their homes, and yet their lives cannot reflect that they are studying. But can I say this to you? Many of them got those books for chef decoration. They are not studying. But if somebody studies and you feel the person is not doing fine, I can tell you for free, the life of the person will have been worse if that person was not given to reading. Simple. Therefore, go back to check the things you do every day, the kind of information that comes to you. That is how your orientation forms. This is it. Whatever we see consistently and whatever we hear consistently, the two of them form a synergy to put our mind on autopilot. What we see consistently and what we see persistently, they form a synergy to put our minds on autopilot. You begin to think like that. That is how patterns are formed. Some of the things people feel are spiritually entrenched, I can tell you, it is this place first. Because if you get it right here, sometimes certain things that have become a spiritual plague in your family, you just realize that those things can't match up with you. And I'm not exalting intelligence above spirituality, because the real intelligence is not to know books, is to know things as they truly are. Are you getting what I'm saying? So you change your orientation by changing what you see and what you hear. What you see and what you hear. What you see and what you hear. I remember the story of a man who was speaking recently. He said while he was younger, the highest dream he had, the highest dream was to just get a Toyota Camry. They used to call that car pencil, and get married, give birth to maybe two children. After before 40 or at 45, build a three-bedroom bungalow. And in his own assessment, that's success. Why will a young man be thinking like that? No good example, no good model orientation. He said, but they now took him maybe to go and do internship or something somewhere. My God. And he began to see how the MD of the company will be talking to his child, say, move 50 million from account B to account A and 45 million from the other account. Then that's how much? 95 million, right? Okay. We have to pay 200 million before the end of the week. Call me by Wednesday. And he realized that the young man that the father was giving that kind of, instruction to was just a little older than him. There's somebody who wanted to have pencil Camry. As at that time, pencil Camry, the time I'm talking about, was being sold for 1.3 million. In 6 months, by the time he left that place, nobody called him to speak to him. He just realized that he must have been foolish to think that the highest realization of his life would be to own a pencil Camry. I'm asking you right now, mention your name. What do you see? What do you see? What do you see? And I can't begin to cast visions for you now because there is something that has to have been done foundationally before your vision can be given residency. So when the idea is already bad, even when great vision comes, it has no good place to land. That is why airline or aircraft cannot just land anywhere. So there is a way you can live your life. So much so that when you clock certain age in life, even God himself can never share some of his ideas with you again. Do you know why? With best effort, the idea will never grow in your hand anymore. Are you seeing why we are doing this meeting now? So that it doesn't matter how bad things have been, because you still have lives ahead of you. Can we make the rest of that your life more significant than the past? As I'm speaking, somebody is saying, but after all, I was not the one who chose my background. I didn't choose my parent. I didn't choose all of that. That God himself will even need to, he owes me apology for sending me to that kind of environment. Wrong assumption. How is it a wrong assumption? This is it. I hope you know that the family that they gave birth to you, probably they have taught you in churches that God is doing something with your destiny. That's why they gave birth to you there. The family you were that gave birth to you, that is not the family God designed. So some of you, where God sent you, the ideal place he wanted to send you to, with due respect, the parents already compromised that there was nothing like that in existence. So when they give birth to somebody and the person is being raped by the stepfather or all of those kind of stuffs, we can teach them that God makes beauty out of ashes, correct? God can use that ignominious experience to make a name for himself through you. No doubt about that. But guess what? That thing God will now do through your life, I'm saying to you, is plan B. In the original plan, there should be nothing around your background, all right, to warrant that kind of experience. But whatever it is that happens, there is a way God can turn it around. That's why it's God. That's why it's God. That is why it's God. So I'm asking you, what do you see? The highest of your dream is the true reflection of your orientation. How big is it? How big is it? You know, an average African rejoices when they catch out from YouTube and Instagram views, through Instagram views. Nobody is asking, how were those platforms built? It's simple. That is exactly how they want you to think, just to be a consumer. Just to be a consumer. I need to be fast now because of a time. So you need to change your orientation. In changing your orientation, what do you do? You pursue excellence, pursue excellence, pursue excellence. You know, mediocrity and poverty, they are like Siamese twins. So poverty and mediocrity, they are optical isomers. What I'm saying to you is the more you apply mediocrity to what you do, the more you magnetize poverty. It was Oprah Winfrey that said, excellence is the greatest deterrent for racism and sexism. Excellence is the greatest deterrent for racism and sexism. It's very simple. If somebody has a medical condition, let's say a white man, and they will the person to the theater, on getting there, if that person has not been accommodating black people all his life, if the surgeon that is supposed to carry out that procedure is a black man, I hope you know the man who is intolerant to the black will be tolerant to that medical doctor. What is speaking for that doctor at that level is called excellence. When you become excellent in what you do, everything called segregation, they collapse for you. Segregation collapses around the people who are excellent. At the just concluded PFN conference, they had a colloquium where they brought some speakers, very intelligent people. Africa is so blessed with a lot of intelligent people. And one of them, FD, Fela Drotoye, a man I respect, he was speaking about the time of Tafawa Balewa, if I'm not mistaken, how it was received. I recommend that you people should go and watch the video. When that man visited America, United States, this happened on earth, not movie, not a fictional story. The president of the United States and a lot of people had to file on the street waiting for the president of Nigeria. Those were the days. The things I mentioned earlier have not caught up with people leading Nigeria. So the country where they file out to receive our president is the country where we get to today, and all of us will begin to rejoice. Not because of the stake you are holding in the economy of that land, just because of change of location. Parents will go to church to do testimonies just because their children got visa. Is that bad? Is that bad? But the question is, maybe in another series, I'm going to teach how your location may need to change for your destiny to find expression. So I'm not condescending on traveling, but there is something that needs to determine if you should travel or not. It's not just following the bandwagon effect. I made a post 2023 or 2022 where I said some people have to go to UK for them to be okay. Somebody messaged me, said, I'm suspecting you will soon travel. I don't know if it's right or wrong. The rest they say is history. Okay. So you pursue excellence. That thing which you are doing, the natural gift, there's a sequence. I wrote that in my book, Strategic Reinvention. If you have read it, you will get what I'm saying. If you have not read it, just get a copy. You see, when God created you, I spoke about quality. That's where I started. That if you have not passed the test of quality, you wouldn't have been sent to the world. Part of the package inside that quality product you are is what we call the natural talent. Otherwise, that determine the kind of potential your future holds. But I hope you know, potential is exciting when you are below 30. By the time you cross 30, the story of your potential will become the designer of your frustration. Because at that level, you ought to be producing with what you have as potential. In fact, if it continues too much at 35, you yourself, you can't even talk about it. Because no matter who is praying for you, no matter how desirous you are, at 25, 30 now, you can't enroll to become Olympic champion in anything again. That means as you are growing up, the kind of things you can ever succeed in or succeed at, they are reducing as you age. Are you seeing that? They are reducing as you age. So you are not growing younger. And because of that, you can't just sleep on potential. I have the potential. What has the potential produced? That's what's important. So, number one, you have natural talent. That natural talent, it is your duty to cultivate it into a usable format that you can use to do two things. Pay attention, to serve people or to make a product. The moment you can't groom your skill and your natural talent to the point where it can lead you to bring out products or to bring out service, that potential is useless. In its original essence, it's not useless, but in your hand, it has become useless. It's simple. Mention all the people you can talk about today in your society. Why are people talking about Mercy Chinwo and Izzy? Producer, right? That had a record label. Mercy Chinwo is a singer. What Mercy Chinwo has is the gift of singing. But imagine if he has not trained himself to be able to get out product. What are the products? Music on different platforms, audio recordings. In the days of old, you used to call it cassettes, albums. The question now is for how much of grooming you have done on your natural ability. If we turn it to a product, who is going to buy it? Who is going to buy it? So you pursue excellence. You pursue excellence. And when you are pursuing excellence, actually, you will leave your equals behind because in Africa, in all sincerity, this is where we are from, this is where we belong to. We are not trying to condescend, but we have found a love affair with mediocrity. Just a show of shamble. Let's do something. People will take it. One of my senior colleagues, Fam Yemi Adekunle, a very intelligent man, first class in first class, everything he has studied, bachelor's, master, first class. You know, this man wrote a book in 2019, I believe, 2019, yeah. A very powerful book. I had a copy of it. By the time I was reading the book, I saw that the one who printed it, there was one of the pages that was inverted. I now called his attention to it. The man now said to me that, do you know how much of struggle I had with my printer? I said, what happened? Didn't you pay him? He said, I paid him. He said, at the point, listen, look at what the guy said. The guy said, even if the printing is not of quality, we will pray on it, it will scale. That is how some people's life have been damaged by religion. He said, we will pray on it that the eyes of the buyers of the book will not go there. Defective mindset, no drive for excellence. Excellence can be achieved at every level. We grow in it. The broadcast I'm doing for you now, there is obviously a better way to do it than I'm doing. And that's why next time when you see me, you will see the improvement, you will see the progress. So all these things I'm saying, I'm not trying to now make you discontinue your drive to start something because you feel you don't have excellence yet. No. Excellence is achievable at a level. You scale as you do it, but make sure it's your hallmark. is the ultimate measure of what you do, such that if your product is not meeting certain quality, let it be that at that moment you can't afford it, not because you don't desire it. And a lot of people don't desire excellence. How you know people don't desire excellence? The moment they just get something small, they are satisfied, they are okay. And nobody is going to take you to your next level when you are always bringing what is uh, reflecting mediocrity. Then the next point is what I call positioning. Positioning. I've spoken about positioning. Recently, I was recording for an institute and I taught a series, not a series, I taught a session on positioning. We've been hearing these things, positioning, all of that. What does it mean to position? What does it really mean to position? The man I respect so well said something that my Smuro was the first person who said that for me to hear it. My Smuro taught me that in life, you are not supposed to pursue purpose. That came like a shocker for me. Because while I was growing up, I grew up in the Anglican church. I'm blessed to be trained under Anglican Youth Fellowship, AYF. They will lead us to pray those prayers. God, show me my purpose. Good prayers, solid ones are that. Because where we are coming from, we don't even pray that prayer. Maybe we can't tell where we'll have been by now. So it became a pursuit that we're running after. Then the man said, you are not supposed to pursue it. You are supposed to take a posture such that your purpose magnetizes itself to you. So it took me a long while to comprehend that thing. And in 2 minutes, I can dispel it for you. This is the idea. You see, the idea of I want to fulfill purpose that has kept a lot of people crippled, that they don't know what they are doing, is because they don't know that purpose in itself is not something you enter into one day and fulfill at once. It occurs to you in layers, and to the degree you build capacity, you will keep fulfilling what you call purpose, such that at the end of your life, the summation of it will have been a life of fulfillment. How do I mean? There is something you ought to do today. If you do it well, you have fulfilled the purpose of today. There's something you ought to do tomorrow. If you do it well, you have fulfilled the purpose of tomorrow. Now, this is the idea. Each of those things, they become a precedent for certain consequence in the future. As you obey the daily demands, the result of them begin to unfold in the future. Your orientation, your perspective, your ability get enhanced such that it will be too clear that this is what I'm supposed to be doing now. And you will have the commensurate acceptance from the people who ought to be beneficiaries of the same. As you live all this with this kind of consciousness, if you grow to 70 years, you are fulfilled purpose. Because the daily demands sum up together as brought fulfillment. Do you get what I'm saying? I want to be sure you are getting these things. All right. I want to be sure. So, positioning, therefore, is to develop yourself so much so that you can be the person that opportunity is looking for, not the man who is looking for opportunity. I know that looks so big to you, but you must be kidding. You must be kidding. Why people are trying to rush out of Africa to come to this part of the world? I hope you know there are guys who have not left the shores of Africa, but they are earning in foreign currencies. At least with the devalued currency of Naira right now, that is the easiest way to be a big boy. You are earning what your equal who is in America is earning, but you are living in Nigeria. You will live times 5 better than him. Reason is because what you will be paying as rent in a year, the person will be paying it as rent in 1 month. So the expenditure going on renters alone for the person earning equal amount of money with you in abroad, right? You will have saved times 11 of that just on renters alone. But the question you want to ask is, what can many people do that foreigners can patronize? That is what we are talking about. So the reason why dollar is not coming to you is because you are not positioned for it, not because God didn't want you to have it. So positioning is to prepare yourself to become the man that opportunity is looking for, not the man who is looking for opportunity. Then we can now advance it to say positioning is being where you can see opportunity and where opportunity can see you. Now, that one, I can do a whole symposium on that, but let me stop there. Because the real positioning is for you to be able to predict the future of your industry. That is the real positioning. Thank you, Anna. For I'm reading the comments. That is the ideal way to stay in the future. You have to be able to be part of the people simulating the future of the sector where you are engaging. The reason is because life is changing, situations are changing, circumstances are changing. There is nothing we are doing that will remain like this forever. But the moment you are not part of the people either creating the change or preempting the change, you will be a victim of that change. You will be a victim of the change. Do you know how many industries couldn't survive COVID-19? But do you know how many organizations multiply their turnover more than 1,000 times? That's what we are talking about. I taught my mentees strategic foresighting, and I revealed to them how Shell incorporated foresight into their, they call it strategic foresight every year or periodically as they are planning the future of their organizations. That's one of the reasons why Shell, as oil company to date, has survived, has been able to survive different situations. But this is it. If something terrible will happen in your company in 5 years' time, because you are just playing, you are not part of what is going on, it happens to you by surprise. You are not positioned. So when you are positioned and you can get this is how this thing is going, you will go and stay there and be waiting for them. Do you get what I'm saying? So why others cannot understand what you are doing, they will be catching up with you later. That's positioning. If you lack that, you will lack a lot of blessings in this part of the world. For the sake of time, I want to stop on this next point, and I call it the power of community and network. 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 It cannot be overemphasized, people of God. The 5 closest persons to you, they stand the chance to determine the future you will have than the word of prophecies. Yeah. There was a video that circulated a couple of months ago when a man of God said, if there are 5 foolish people around you, he said you did not count well because there are 6. And somebody puts a voice under and say, oh, thunder. I say, it's true. It's true. Do you know what community does? There are too many examples in my head right now. But let me give you a practical example. In Nigeria, there's a man called Peter Odili in politics. Part of the people who used to be his errand boys, with due respect, no respect, self. They don't deserve my respect, though. Part of the people who used to be the boys for Peter Odili is the Nyesom Wike you are seeing today, who is a federal minister. Part of those who used to be the boys of Peter Odili is the man, Rotimi Amici, and several of them in South there who were inside the immediate circle of that man. And that's how they enter into what they are doing. Politics. Look at Tinubu, who is the president today. All the people that surrounded him in Bodilon, they have either become rep member, senator, governor, minister, director, whatever. Opportunities are angulated with information, and information flows in circle. If you are out of that flow of that thing, though you are qualified for it, you will miss it time and again. So you need to be in the right circle where what you desire to do or where you are supposed to be, where that thing is already a reality. Where that is already a reality. Where that is already a reality. Community, community, community. I cited politics, right? Come to Silicon Valley in the United States. That is a place that has produced the biggest creators and innovators of this world. Is it that the environment itself makes people innovators? No. It is that when you get into an environment and you give yourself, you apply yourself to the culture of that environment, the things that are predominant there becomes your new normal. That is, look at Bishop Oyedepo and all the people who surrounded him in ministry. It's simple. It rubs off on you. I therefore ask you, who are the people or who among the frontliner in your sector of engagement are you in close contact with? If you don't have any, now this is not for you to be pursuing relationship. Position is something that we have to teach it clearly for you to understand. As you build yourself consistently every day, the day you will meet those people will be the days they will be able to take you seriously. But if you have not built your life very well, when you meet the people, they feel, how can we make you one of our errand boys? That's the only way for you to stay around. Anything you want to do right now, be sure that before people even respond to your messages, your DM on Instagram, they have gone to read your profile. And that make their judgment to be biased naturally. This young man has not been able to do anything solid with his life. Why should it be me that will now take charge from him? So, how do you enter into community? Simple. Those of you who are still undergrad, there is something called sorority or fraternity. Fraternity is not caught. I've taught it before. On your campus, belong to those groups. Reasonable ones, not student association. If you're part of student association, I'm not blaming you. I used to be part. All right. And it has its own advantage. There's a lot of training. You get leadership opportunities, profile building, all of that. But when you belong to ideals, sorority, that gives you opportunity to have access to professionals in that field. That's why people who are in law school, I taught it the last time, right? You remember? There is no way they won't have affiliation with established lawyer. So what community are you a part of now that is reflecting the kind of future you are desiring? The power of community. Power of community. And you can be present in a community and not be well positioned there. That is when you are a passive member. You remember, I shared the story of a friend I was speaking with. I said, if they ask you, who are the people in your network, and you mention my name, for instance, not that I'm saying I'm already big, right? But I said, I'm not actually in your network anymore. I said, the reason is because in the last 5 years, I don't even know what you do. Since I don't know what you do, how can I be able to know how to patronize you or how to recommend you? I don't know what you do. The question is, who are the people that know what you do? What are you known for? If you are not known for anything, success will only be imaginary for you. It won't happen. It will be imaginary. You will be desiring it. I wish witches has never made anything happen to anybody. So it's not going to start with you. So what is the take home? You need to go back now. I don't want to go into some of the things I've taught before. That it begins with what we call self-discovery. Everything I've taught, there is a back end to it. I always describe it as back end, such that it doesn't matter what age you are in or what your age is. It doesn't matter how bad life has treated you. There is a way you can enter into the loop that can bring your destiny to where it ought to be. And it's not a cliche that the day a man reconciles with his maker, no matter how late it appears or how fast, that is the day the person enters into rest of destiny. Do you know why? No investor want to watch his investment to be destroyed. So there is nobody who is favorably disposed towards you more than God. He's the one who package all those things inside of you. And is not yet ready to let you waste with all those capacities that are lying fallow. That's why the Bible says, if you return to your Lord, then you shall be restored and be built up. God restores seasons. God can bring your matter to people that naturally you wouldn't have been able to cross into their circle. So while we play our own part, because God did not create it to be a zombie, it is not a substitute to what God can do. We play our part, but consistently being open for the blessing that God is going to create. So if you are under the sound of my voice before I take questions, and you are living your life, you are saying, my destiny is in my hand. Okay. If you sleep tonight and you don't wake up tomorrow, how is that in your hand? You are just proud. That's the thing. And it's ignorance that makes people to be proud like that. You have to be reconciled back to God. Because if you are reconciled back to Him, He can shrink time. The Bible says, for God is the lifter up of people's head. He knows how to take somebody out of the dunghill and set him among princes. Only God can do that. No man can do it for you. No man can do it for you. Oh, men, if men begin to do something for you, the moment you begin to spring forth, if care is not taken, you become a threat. I've had somebody say to someone that, let's leave that. But when is God Himself putting your goodwill in the heart of people, He will create the door and preserve the relationship as long as you are not working in rebellion. So this is an open opportunity for you to reconcile with your maker. And I will be glad to lead you into that. This is not a church setting. It's not a church meeting. You can message me by any time. That one, I do it, even if it's midnight in my time. I do it with all joy. That is where I'm going to stop tonight. Beloved people of God, we've spent a couple of minutes. Thank you for being on ground. I want to take questions now. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Semilore Mercy, good to see you. Good to see you. Idogo Sylvester, good to see you. Let the questions be coming in. Farumbi Emmanuel, good to see you. Anna Doji, yeah, you cannot have what you are not positioned for. Amazing, fantastic, very correct. Stella, Shikemi Arowolo, good to have you on board. Engineer Gabriel, good to have you on board. Um, Follow Adedayo, you're welcome. Thank you for joining. Um, we know Israel. Just trying to check the people. Please, when you say the questions, let me know. Uh, I should have opened the room for questions earlier. Okay. Elubaju Paul, Mulayo Adesunoro, barista, you're welcome on board. Everybody, shout out, one love, maximum regards. Yeah, everybody. Yeah, thank you. Questions? If you have question first, just indicate that you have question as you are typing it so that we know if you are waiting for people or we should quickly wrap up and call it a day. And let me use this opportunity to pass this announcement. For those who are not familiar with what we do, I run a closer mentorship platform that, as we speak, we've been doing that for 6 years. Yeah. And God has helped us to labor over some people, especially those who give us the influence to do that, or the latitude to do that. And their lives are getting better for it. Um, the room, I opened it recently. I'm going to open it again. If you want to join, Gabriel, drop your number in the chat room so that they can send you a message after now. Um, so I try to meet with them every week where we do some teachings. I take questions. I offer guidance for free. But that is for free now. Does not mean it's going to continue like that. My time is getting busier by the day. My schedule is getting tighter. So because of that, but take advantage of the moment. Then secondly, I have a book that I author. Buy it if you can. In Nigeria, it's 8,005 or so. There are people who have hard copy printed that are selling in Akure, in Lagos, and in Ibadan. If you're in the United States, the book goes for $15 on Amazon. $15 right now is over 22,000. And those of you in Nigeria, you are getting the book for 8,085. So if you can't buy a book for 8,005, all right, let's assume that you believe the future will create itself. And we will see ourselves later to know if it is like that. All right. And of course, in a couple of months from here, I will be hosting the program I have been hosting since 2022. That is the Summit of the Creative. So I want you to anticipate that program. That one, I'm not the only one that will be teaching there. And the kind of stuff we teach there, we have product of the meetings that send testimonials of the decisions they made after the meeting and how it's playing out in their lives. So this time around, we are going to do the meeting back again this year. And finally, I want you to know that this meeting, it may not be under the tag of Limitless and Borderless. It's going to be monthly. I will be doing this live broadcast at least once in a month. While I teach my closer people once in a week, I do this public one once in a month. You may get emails from us for those of you who register. If you don't want to get the email, we'll put a way for you to unsubscribe. But we like you to stay around us. We don't bug people. All the social medias account I've used in all my life, I can count within my 10 fingers the number of messages I've ever sent to somebody through that place. I reply chat to. So I'm not saying WhatsApp, all of us chat, but you see Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, I don't send DMs to people because I just don't like people to feel disturbed. But this time around, if we send you an email, it will be something that will benefit you. All right, we have two questions in the comment box. That's the one I can see. Tomiwa Emmanuel, thank you for appreciating what we do. Somebody, Anulua Kari says, sir, you mentioned about the influence of community. How can it be preserved? This is my question. How community is preserved is by maintaining the core value on which that community is existing. Full stop. I don't know if that helps. The moment you maintain the core value that a community is founded on, you will never be, uh, you will never see the other side. This is simple. Part of the core value is to know how to behave around those who are ahead of you within that system. Are you seeing that? Stick the core value. And you need to have your own personal core values to be able to maintain organizational core value. If not, there will be conflict. I think that summarizes the answer that I would like to give. Okay, if that's the only questions we have tonight, right now, let me make my final shout out. Somebody asked me a question. Let me answer it here. Let me answer it here. The person said, if you are in a system, okay, Isla Apia, senior man, I celebrate you. I was thinking about education when you were talking about it, and I was wondering if it is really serving its purpose in Africa or it is merely an indoctrination. Thank you, sir. The education as it is right now in Africa, so to speak, and a major part of the world, is a curriculum designed to create powerless people in their numbers, yet under the guise of making progress. And see what we are taught in schools. Those are things people have founded years back. So there is no system to make you create the future of that thing. That's why they revised textbooks. They said, this is the latest discovery. Where is it coming from? The people who are discovering it, what did they teach them that made them discover the future of that thing? But our own is to be recycling the reviewed document. You are very correct. And that's why we do what we are doing. People should be thinking outside the box. You can stay around, not you, you are my, my main man here, but anybody with this kind of question, you can stay around. You see what I write online. And you'll be surprised that somebody who is doing a PhD is writing this kind of things because I have known these things by experience. Not that a lot of people share things because they are told. In this area, it's not because I'm told, because I'm there. Yeah. So, good evening, sir. Maintain the core value that the community found. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So, all right. Thank you, Yinka. That's my wife's younger sister. Good to have you on board. And okay, everyone, thank you. It's 1 hour 32 minutes. I need to stop here. Alesh Lawyer, I wanted to address your question here before, but I think I'm going to address it in the closer group or maybe some other time. But people of God, stay around. Those who are not in the in-house, see you next month. Those who are in the in-house, see you probably tomorrow. I think Sunday is our meeting, so we'll meet tomorrow. Thank you for joining. God bless you. God bless you greatly. Bye for now. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Those of you in Western or in the United States, enjoy the rest of your day. Good night.